And there they go.
Preakness Stakes. Let's switch over to this tab here. Here are the early overseas odds from Bovada. Is that correct?
Yep, this is from Bovada.
For the 2022 Preakness Stakes in less than 2 weeks at Baltimore, Maryland. Epicenter, no surprise here, 5-2 favorite. Secret Oath 4-1, no surprise. Zandon 4-1. He might not go. Early voting 6-1. That's good. Wait, I skipped over somebody, Mike. Who is that? Right between Epicenter and Secret Oath. Who? Creative Minister? Who is that?
Creative Minister. He was the 6th horse in the 3rd race on the undercard on Sunday. I really hope he goes in his 4-1 because that is a wild underlay. Like, I would not touch that horse anywhere near 15-21, something like that. So absolutely wild. And real quick, I just want to say something. Turfway Park has been very good. The form coming out of Turfway Park has been very good. I wouldn't call Stolen Base a Turfway horse because I'm pretty sure he also ran over the turf last time. I think it was at Sam Houston.
He was at Sam Houston before.
And so I wouldn't call him necessarily a Turfway horse. I also, like, the Derby, like, anyone could have won that race from any set prep circuit. And so for me, that one, like the Turfway form saying, oh, because the Derby this, to me, that's kind of like if I'm ignoring the data point completely, I'm not going to give credit in certain spots to the data point, right? And so I agree with you. Turfway horses have been running very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't say because of the Derby, that's why Turfway needs to be upgraded. I'd say they've been running well. The Derby is an outlier point, but they have been running well all over the place. So
a credit to that, they increased their purses at Turfway. That's a big reason why. So you're seeing better horses, bigger connections going there. So yeah, we'll give them credit.
And they did well at Keeneland too. Like, there was a lot of Turfway sprinting horses that did well sprinting at Keeneland. So, like, again, credit to Turfway, better than past years, but not because of the Derby, because of everything else. Sorry, I just seen a lot of people say that, and I just wanted to comment on it.
Dan, I know who the horse is. I wasn't being serious. Why the F is there a Kenny McPeak horse that's a maiden win, an allowance win on Derby undercard day with an overblown buyer of 92? Why is he 4-1?
It's
the other
wild.
horses that bad?
It's wild to me. Well, Secret Oath just won the Oaks, and Creative Minister got a 92 and beat who was it? You remember the 1A, the Baffert horse that you joked about?
Oh, McLaren Vale.
McLaren Vale was one of the favorites in that race. It's like, come on, guys! Like, and the 92 buyer is woefully short of what you'll need. So you're projecting a big time improvement 3rd time around 2 turns, and we always talk 2nd time around 2 turns. Great logical improvement angle. That was 2nd time around 2 turns. That's why you saw that logical improvement. So yeah, if we can get Creative Minister 4-1, I think that'd be great. Honestly, if Secret Oath is 4-1 and somehow Epicenter's 5-2, I think that's, if Epicenter's in this race and you get 5-2, I think that's where my money is probably headed in this spot.
You give me Epicenter in the Preakness at 5-2. I'm like Super Mario. If Epicenter runs, I'm going to trust that Steve Asmussen has him ready. This is Steve Asmussen's baby because he said after Sunday morning that the goal now is to figure out how to make sure he stays 3-year-old champion. Not becomes. He's a stays 3-year-old champion. So he believes that this is the best 3-year-old. I kind of believe that. But we can talk about that a little bit. Dr. Miranda got a lot of you could say deserve it shit. She took a very hard stance against Secret Oath and D. Wayne Lucas's training methods in the preview, and it didn't work out, but she's owning it. She says she still will not bet on Secret Oath in the Preakness. With assuming that what we see here, Mike, is the field for the Preakness Stakes, I kind of get it. I mean, underneath, but I don't want to bet her at 4-1 against the boys when we saw what happened in the Arkansas Derby.
Well, here's the problem: 4-1 against this group of boys that's on here. Now people are saying in the chat, "Oh, these aren't accurate." You're right. The beauty of betting overseas, a lot of times there are horses in there that aren't going to run, which eat up the juice, which allow you to get 5-2 on Epicenter if Epicenter ends up going. Now, if Epicenter announces he's officially going, that might drop to plus 150 real fast. So that's you're almost also get the opportunity, since everything has action, that you might lose before they're even in the gate. A scratch, you lose. That's why having some of these extra ones in help out. Like In Due Time, 25-1, officially announced out of the Derby. That's a juice reduction now, right? Because the VIG goes away because that horse stays on the board. So that's why we kind of look at these, because some of these give you an opportunity to get those natural reductions. The thing with Secret Oath is he beat Cyberknife, she faced Cyberknife and Barbara Road, who finished in front of her. Now she'd be facing Epicenter, Zandon, early voting. That is a completely different group of horses versus Cyberknife and Barbara Road. So I think that's where the 4-1 gets me, right? Where she was just 4-1 against a group of girls, which are not as good as this group of boys, right? And they, but we could talk about the Oaks, obviously, here in a little bit, too. She ran an awesome race. A couple other horses didn't quite show up, which we'll talk about, including freaking Kathleen O. Yeah. Like this is a very, very deep Preakness field when you compare it to the Oaks and when you compare it to the Arkansas Derby.
Okay. So let's talk about it. First of all, it sounds like Zandon may not go. Chad Brown's on the fence because he's got early voting pointing to this, and early voting is owned by his number one owner of all time, Seth Klarman, and he will do what Seth Klarman wants to do, and everybody else kind of falls in line. So early voting, if he goes to the Preakness, I really don't think Zandon goes. I think you save Zandon for the Belmont. Someone brought it up. It's hard to bring. There it is from Chris. It's hard to go to the Preakness after a very hard fought battle like Zandon and Epicenter did. I'm probably the minority here, Mike. I would like to see Epicenter wait for the Belmont Stakes. I think with his running style, he's well suited for Belmont. Everybody thinks Belmont, it's a mile and a half. You want closers. No. Unless there's a pace meltdown like the Derby, normally in the mile and a half Belmont, you want a horse that's going to be more forwardly placed and has the pedigree and stamina to go that mile and a half. That's the horses that usually can win the Belmont. I want him to wait for that. It's also, 2 weeks after the Derby for the Preakness, the Louisiana Derby. Asmussen loved that it was a larger gap to the Kentucky Derby to get him ready. So selfishly, that's what I'd like. But as Aaron will say, Jared, and probably you, if he's ready, run him in the Preakness.
Yeah, I mean, I would enter him and then take it from there in my mind. Because I also think, like, if you look at this list, in due time out, you got Morello, who I don't think is going. We talked to the connections on Friday after the track. We're actually next to him in the bus line. Talked to him for about 30 minutes. I would be surprised if Morello goes. In that case, early voting's lone speed and Epicenter is the lone horse sitting behind him. I kind of think Epicenter trips out if this is the field. If you take out Morello and a couple others. And if that's the case, and I'm Steve Asmussen, I want him in the race if he's good, right? If he's ready, I want him in the race. So I would enter him, see how he's doing, see who else enters, and then make a decision because you can always scratch him and run him 3 weeks later. I agree with your point on Zandon. I would expect early voting goes Preakness, Zandon goes Belmont because they are both more well fits for those two races. And you also then get a ready to go early voting and then a ready to go Zandon in the last 2 legs of the Triple Crown.
Plus, I meant to keep building off of that. Whatever his next start is for Epicenter, you can start planning out. You go Jim Dandy or Haskell, and then you go Travers, and then you go Classic, and then boom, boom, boom. There's your 3-year-old year for Epicenter, and it's pretty great. So, you also, Epicenter gets compared a lot to Midnight Bourbon. They both have, kind of front running styles. Winchell Thoroughbred's own, Steve Asmussen train. We thought Midnight Bourbon was going to win the Preakness off the turn because he sat that exact trip you're talking about here. And then freaking Rombauer caught him, and I swear to God, if that's Rich Strike, Mike, I might lose it. I might lose it on the live stream.
Yeah, well, but that would make for good content then.
It would make for amazing content, yes. I'll sacrifice myself for the good.
Real quick, I want to bring up Shadi's comment here. Confused with what happened to Messier and Taiba. I thought Messier actually ran a really good race, which is ironic because he ends up finishing like 14th and behind Taiba. But if you go back and you watch, like, Velasquez split horses, made a move into a 110, 6 furlongs, made the lead around the turn, and then the horse died. I mean, he was just way too close to the pace. Velasquez's clock didn't necessarily properly analyze where he should have been with that race, and there was zero chance he was going to be able to hold on after going that fast early. So I think that he got too caught up in the pace. Messier ran well to hit the lead, and then just wasn't able to hold off everybody who was charging. Taiba was a little more of a head scratcher for me. Clearly, the larger field affected him. He was further back than expected, was in between horses a lot, which he clearly did not like. Didn't really get in the clear and get to run at any point. So the lack of experience clearly affected Taiba. Messier, I thought, actually ran pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, Chris in the chat agrees. So Messier was a lot better than Taiba was greater than Taiba by a ton. Taiba was sneaky trash throughout. Listen, I said it before. No, I'm very, very pleased that the Baffert horses ate shit. We don't have to talk about them. If they say, who is it? Taiba is unknown for the Preakness right now. Velasquez was on Messier. Velasquez is already on Simplification because Jose Ortiz is riding early voting. It gets a little messy there, but I love early voting as a lone pace. Epicenter, if he's in, I think definitely our pick.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels. Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,